Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome everybody. Welcome my dear students of grade 10. Welcome to a new lesson, a new chapter in biology, chapter 3, lesson 1. We are talking here about the organization of living organisms and differentiation of cells and diversity of plant tissues. So we are talking about the differentiation between plant cells and tissues. You know that the plant is made of cells. Any living organism made of cells. Okay. The building unit of all living organisms are what? The cells. And the cells are organized, means that they collect together to make, each group of cells collect together to make a certain tissue, and each tissue with other tissues connect together to make an organ, and every group of organs connect together to make a system. Finally, we can build the body of the living organism. So the body is made of levels. These levels, from the biggest level, which is the body, the whole body, like your body, like the plant, the tree. It is a whole body. Your body is made of many systems that work together in highly coordination. Like what systems? Like the digestive system, the skeletal system, the circulatory system, the muscular system, and the nervous system, a reproductive system, excretory system, respiratory system. All systems work together in a highly coordination and organization. They are organized to perform their functions, and they are integrated. Okay, these systems are integrated, متكاملة, and organized together, منظمة ومتعاونة مع بعضها البعض. They are integrated, بتكمل بعضها البعض, and organized together، يعني بتنظم عمل بعضها البعض. طيب لو مسكنا سيستم واحد، ده سيستم مثلا معايا، سيستم ايه زي مثلا ايه؟ the blood and the heart. This system is called a circulatory system. Circulatory system. This system is made up of the heart and the blood vessels. Okay, and these organs, the organs of the circulatory system. This system, you know, its function is transporting the blood, and the blood carry oxygen and food to all body parts. And the system like this is made up of organs. As you see here, the system is made up of organs. Like this system, we have the heart. We take the heart as an example of the organs. The heart is an example of an organ. It is made of muscles. The muscles is a tissue. So the organ is made of tissues. It composed of certain type of muscles. These muscles are called cardiac muscles. The heart has a special type of muscles which are called cardiac muscles. And this muscular tissue contract regularly and push the blood to all body parts. And also there is the nervous tissue. In the blood, there is another tissue. There is some here, some nerves. Here we have some nerves, some nerve endings, okay, which control the movement of the blood. So the organ has also some nervous tissue and also connective tissue. Okay, so the organ is made up of many tissues which collaborate together and organize together to pump the blood from the heart to all body parts. So the organ is made up of tissues. As you know, the organ is made up of tissues, and this there is another level. The tissue is made up of what? If we take the muscular tissue as an example, we have here a muscular tissue. It's made of muscular fibers, and the muscular fiber, as you see, is made of muscle cells, muscular cells. So The cell is the smallest level in this organization. The tissue is made of cells, and these cells are elongated cells. The cells of muscular tissue are elongated, and they are like fibers. They are make bundles or fibers, and they have the ability to contract and relax to perform their function. So the muscular tissue of the heart consists of a group of muscular cells or cardiac muscular cells. This is a certain type of cells called the cardiac muscular cells, and they have the ability to contract. They consist of cells that are symmetrical. They are similar in shape. As you see, they are elongated cells like fibers. They are similar to each other. Symmetrical means they are similar in shape and function. They have the same function, which is contraction and relaxation. So the tissue is made up of one type of cells. This is called the simple tissue. And the compound tissue, which is made up of different type of cells, is called the compound tissue. If the tissue is made up of different cells, many different cells, or many types of cells, we call it compound tissue. So we have two types of tissue, the simple tissue and the compound tissue. The tissue is made of cells. If these cells are similar and identical, this tissue will be a simple tissue. And if the tissue made up of different types of cells, it will be compound tissue. The tissue vary according to the difference of living organisms, the vital activities, and the function that performed by the tissue. So according to the function of the tissue, the function differs. The function differs according to the function of the tissue and the function of the organ that the tissue is a part of it. So we can here summarize this part as the following. The living organism is made of many levels. The first level, which is the body, the whole body, the human body, for example, or a tree in the plant. The body is made of what? Made of a group of systems. And the system is made of what? The system is made up of a group of organs. And the organ also made up of a group of tissues. And finally, the tissue is made up of a group of cells. So we have here many levels of the organization in the body of living organism. Many levels of organization in the body of living organism. Okay, let's now discuss this question together. Here we have a question. He says the following figure illustrates the development stages of a toad. The small frog develop, as you know, like any living organism, start from one cell only, which is called zygote. The zygote divide first time and make two cells, and the two cells divide to make four cells, and this is a mitotic division, as you know. And also the four cells divide many times to make a block of cells. This block of cells is called the tissue. Here we have a tissue. In number 4 we have what? A tissue. But here we have one cell, two cells, four cells. Now in number 4 only we have a tissue. Okay. And number 5 now become an organ. Number 6 become a system. And finally number 7 represent what? A body, a whole body. Now the question is what? Which level of the development represents the stage number 1 and the number 4? Stage number 1?
Cell and tissue. Cell and tissue.
Number 1, it is cell. Of course, it is cell. Okay. And the number 4 is what? Tissue. Very good. So the correct answer is A or B or C or D?
A.
It is B. Is it okay? I think it is so easy.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Seven
I
tissue.
think it is so easy question. Now, we can move to the plant tissues. We discuss first the plant tissues, and after that, inshallah, next session, we'll discuss the animal tissues, okay? The plant tissues can be divided into two groups or two types: simple tissues and compound tissues or complex tissues. The simple tissues made up of similar cells, and we have three examples of simple tissue in the plant. We have parenchyma tissue, we have collenchyma tissue, and we have also sclerenchyma tissue. We will talk in details about every one of them, inshallah. And the complex tissue or the compound tissue is called, it has another name. We can call it also the conductive tissue or vascular tissue. The meaning of conductive or vascular, it conduct or transport materials. Its function is transporting materials in the cell or in the plant. It is a transport system. The conductive system or vascular system is a plant, is the transport system. The plant, as you know, it transports water and mineral salts from the root to the stem to the leaves. And this is the function of the xylem. The xylem tissue is a tissue which transport what? Transport water and mineral salts from the root to the stem, then to the leaves. So the leaves can make photosynthesis process. And after that, after making the food in the plant leaves, there is a food made or sugar made. The main food must be transported to all parts of the plant. So we need here another tissue, another conductive tissue, another vascular tissue, which is called a phloem tissue. So we'll discuss the structure and the function of each one of them, inshallah. Let's start by the simple tissue. As you see here, the first simple tissue, which is called parenchyma. Parenchyma. If you want to see an example of parenchyma tissue, look at the tuber of potato. The tuber of potato, as you know, it is a stem. The potato is a stem, but it is a tuber stem. What is the meaning of tuber stem? The meaning of tuber stem is it stores large amount of starch, store large amount of food. So the storage tissue inside the potato must be a special type of tissue, which is the parenchyma tissue. We'll see now one of the most important functions of the parenchyma is storage. One important function of the parenchyma tissue is a storage. Like here in the potato, storage of starch or storage of carbohydrates. So the cells here of the cells as you see here of the parenchyma tissue is oval or round. Oval or round. Okay? Shape. They are like spheres or circles. They have no angles. They have no angles. And they are round, and there is many spaces between them. There is large spaces between them, and these spaces for aeration. They have large spaces between them, and these spaces for what? For aeration. They keep air inside these spaces. As you see here, you can see here a large space here filled with air. A large space here filled with air. Another space here filled with air, and so on. There is spaces between the cells for aeration. The spaces here for what? For aeration. And the cell wall of these cells is very thin. They have a thin wall, cell wall. So the substances can transport easily from the cell wall of this tissue, the parenchyma tissue. It is simple tissue because all cells are similar to each other. And it may contain some chloroplasts, and it may contain some chromoplasts, and it may contain some leucoplasts. So maybe it contains some the different types of of plastids: chloroplasts, the green plastids; chromoplasts, which are colored plastids; and the leucoplasts, which are colorless plastids. So the chloroplasts, what is the function of the chloroplasts? They make photosynthesis process. They contain the chlorophyll and they make photosynthesis process. So we can say the function of the parenchyma tissue is performing the photosynthesis process. If we are talking about the function of the parenchyma, number one will be performing photosynthesis. If you ask you give reason, the function of parenchyma is photosynthesis, you will say because it contains what? It contains chloroplasts, which can absorb sunlight. The chlorophyll inside it can absorb sunlight and can make photosynthesis. And also they contain leucoplasts, the colorless plastids, like in the potato. And the function of leucoplasts is storage nutrients such as starch and sugar. Storage nutrients such as starch and sugar. And also there is large air spaces. There is large spaces. So one function is responsible for aeration. One function of this tissue is aeration. So the first type of simple tissue in the plant is parenchyma. Its function may be photosynthesis or storage or aeration. The second type of simple tissue which is called parenchyma tissue. It is a soft tissue, elastic tissue, found in parsley stem. You know the parsley stem, the parsley plant اللي هو البقدونس. You know, you don't like to eat the stem of the parsley. ما بنحبش ناكل الروت او الستيم بتاع البارسلي. يعني بنيجي نقطع البقدونس مع السلطه بنشيل الجزء ده، بنحاول نشيل الجزء ده من من السلطه بتاعتنا، الحته دي كده بنشيلها وبنرمي الجزء ده. ليه بقى؟ بنحس ان هو ما بيتهضمش، تحس ان هو الاستيك كده عامل زي الجلد كده. ففي تيشو مختلف عن اللي موجود في الليفز. الليفز التيشو اللي فيها بارينكايما. التيشو اللي هنا في الليفز هنا بارينكايما. So it is not thickened with cellulose or lignin. But the tissue here in the stem, the tissue in the stem of the parsley plant, the tissue in the stem here is elastic and it is a parenchyma tissue. This tissue you don't like to eat it because it cannot be digested easily. Right. Let's see what is the structure of these cells. We can see the cells here. They have some angles. They are not very round, but they have a rectangular shape. They have some rectangular shape because there is the air spaces now is filled with cellulose. The spaces between the cells is filled with cellulose. It was air in the parenchyma. Now it is filled with cellulose to help in supporting and giving elasticity for the tissue. So here we have an elastic tissue, somewhat rectangular shape. Their wall are irregularly thickened with cellulose. There is very an area of cellulose here around the cell, especially in the corners between the cells. Like what? Like the parsley stem. The parsley, نبات البقدونس, has a parenchyma in its stem. And its function is supporting the plant and giving the suitable elasticity for the plant. Give it elasticity. So It is supporting tissue. And also, it's made of similar tissue. So it is simple tissue, not complex. Let's move to the third type of the simple tissue, which is, as you see here, the Parenchyma tissue. The Parenchyma tissue, as you see, has cells like a hexagonal shape, and the cells is thickened with what? Thickened with lignin and cellulose. In addition to cellulose, there is another material which is thickened the wall of the cells, which is lignin. So it is very, very strong tissue. Like you see the tissue in the fruit of the pear fruit. The pear fruit, نبات الكمثرى, if you eat it, you can see it's very hard. So there is a lot of sclerenchyma cells or sclerenchyma tissue, which is a solid because it is thickened with cellulose and also lignin. Cellulose and lignin. So there is no air spaces at all. The wall is completely thickened. The wall is completely thickened, like it is like the hive of the bees. You know the hive of the bees, خلية النحل. It is like this. And its function, of course, is supporting and strengthening the plant by acquiring it with a hardness and elasticity. So it is found in the pear fruit, and it gives it this hardness. As you see, it is very hard. It is not easy to cut it. It is not like tomato, for example, or not like cucumber. It is hard to cut. It's not easy to cut. Let's move to the compound or the complex tissue. The compound or the complex tissue in the plant, we say it is compound because it contains different types of cells, not one type of cells. We say it is compound because it contains different types of cells. And we said also it is a conductive tissue or transport tissue. The function here is transporting. Transporting what? We have here the xylem. The xylem, the first one of the conductive tissue or the complex tissue. The xylem extends from the root to the stem, then to the leaves. It is like long tubes. It is like long tubes. Cells like this, they was having a wall between them, arranged vertically over each other. Then the wall, imagine that this wall disappeared. The wall of these cells disappear. Imagine that this wall disappeared, this wall disappeared, and this wall disappeared, and this wall disappeared. What do we have now? We will have a tube, a long tube. If we dissolve the wall, separating wall between the cells, now we will have what? We will have a long tube. This tube like the pipes which carry water to your house. So the tube of the xylem tissue carry water from the root, then to the stem, then to the leaves. Water and mineral salts. Not water only, but water and mineral salts. Then, so this tissue, as you see, is a complex tissue. Why it is complex? Because it contains different types of tissues. It is not only this tube, which we call it a tracheids. This tube is called tracheids. And there is another type of tube which is called vessels. This is the vessel, and there is another one is called tracheid. We have here the tracheid has different shape from the vessel. This one is vessel. This one is called vessel. And there is another one which is called tracheid, but the tracheid has different shape. They have a different shape from the vessels. And there is many bits or holes in the wall, and there is the cellulose and the lignin found in the wall of these tubes. And there is many bits here. There is many bits or pores here in the wall. There is many bits allow the passage of water and mineral salts. There is many bits in the wall, but the wall is thickened with lignin. So we have a strong tube. We have a strong tube, but this tube has some bits in the wall. There is some bits, but here one difference between vessels and tracheids: the end of tracheids is has a shape like a triangle shape, but the end of the tube of the vessel is a round shape. So this is the main difference between the tracheids and the vessels. So this one is a vessel. This one is a vessel. The tube, as you see here, is called the vessel. And this one is called what? This one is called tracheid. What is the difference between vessel and tracheid? The vessel is more wider and has a spherical or round shape, round end. Okay, and they have some similarities also. They have no cytoplasm and no nuclei. There is no nucleus here. The nucleus disappears and the cytoplasm disappears. There is only a tube, and the water can travel through it up to the plant leaf. So we can say that the xylem tissue is a dead tissue. Why it is a dead tissue, not a live tissue? Because there is no nucleus and no cytoplasm in both what? In both of vessels and also tracheids. There is no cytoplasm and no nucleus. Okay.
Mister, can you repeat again the difference between vessel and tracheids?
Again, the main difference between vessels and tracheids: the end of the vessel is elongated. It is not round. It is not circle. It is not a circular shape, but it has a triangular shape. The end of the tube has a triangular shape. It is indented like this. But the end of the vessel is round or circular shape, has a circular shape. And the water travel in both of them up, water and the mineral salts travel through these vessels up to the stem, then to the leaves. Okay, so they are like the pipes in your home which carry water to your kitchen and your bathroom. Okay, so there is no cell components, there is no nucleus, there is no cytoplasm. So we can say the xylem tissue is a dead tissue. Xylem tissue is what? A dead tissue. And the wall of these tubes is thickened with lignin, deposit in the inner surface of the wall or from inside. So it is a dead tissue. It is not a live tissue. It is converted into wide vessels. Through them, the water and salt transport for long distance to the stems, then to the leaves to make help the leaf to make photosynthesis process. So there only a long tube which its function is transporting water and mineral salts from the root to the stem, then to the leaves. Okay. Okay. The function of the xylem tissue: transporting water and mineral salts from the root to the stems, then to the leaves, and supporting the plant because it has lignin, it's lignified. It has a function of also supporting. It has a function of supporting. We have another complex tissue which is called phloem tissue. Phloem tissue. If you imagine that there is also some cells here, there is also here some cells like this, arranged over each other, and there is a separating wall between the cells. What happened here? The wall doesn't disappear like the xylem, but it is only become pitted. There is some holes or some pores become inside it and become like what? Like a sieve. You know the sieve, المصفى, المنخل أو المصفى. So the wall doesn't disappear completely, but it become pitted. It become have some holes inside it. So the wall, separating wall between the cells is still found, but it is only become pitted. Okay? This is the difference here between a xylem and phloem. The wall of the separating cells, the wall separate between the cells is not disappear, but it is only pitted. It has some holes. It has some holes like this, or pores like this. Okay? It has some holes or pores. It is pitted like the sieve. The meaning of sieve, you know the meaning of sieve? المصفى أو المنخل. تعرفوا طبعا المنخل يا شباب. So there is many holes here, from which these holes, the cytoplasm can travel from one cell to another. The cytoplasm stream can travel from one cell to another. And the cytoplasm stream travel from one cell to another like this, from the leaves to all parts of the plant. From the leaves to all parts of the plant. And this tube, as you see here, is called the Sieve Tube. The Sieve Tube. الأنبوبة الغربالية. The Sieve Tube. And there is also, we say it is a complex tissue. So there must be another tissue, another type of cells. We have also another type of cells here. Beside here, the Sieve Tube, there is another cell which is called companion cell. The companion cell here contain nucleus and cytoplasm, and every part of the cell contain a cytoplasm and the nucleus, and it contain also mitochondria. So it can make energy. It can produce food and it can make energy. It can burn glucose and produce energy and give this energy to the Sieve Tube to help it to transfer transform or to translocate, to transport the ready-made food. So the energy come from the companion cell. The energy come from where? From the companion cell. This is a companion cell which is a live cell because it contains cytoplasm and the nucleus. But the Sieve Tube, there is no nucleus. There is only cytoplasm. So we can call the phloem tissue is a dead tissue or a live tissue. Can we call it a dead tissue or a live tissue? Who can tell me? Is it dead or alive? It is alive, ya shabab. It is a live tissue, okay? Because it contains the companion cell, which contains nucleus and cytoplasm. And the Sieve Tube contains a cytoplasm only. The Sieve Tube contains cytoplasm only, but the companion cell contains cytoplasm and also contain nucleus. So it is not dead tissue, but it is a live tissue. The cytoplasm stream move like this from one tube to another, from one cell to another, until it reaches all parts of the plant. Is it okay? So the function of the Sieve Tube or the function of the phloem tissue to transport what? To transport the nutrients resulted from a photosynthesis process from the leaves to all parts of the plant. What is the Sieve Tube? The Sieve Tube is originate from vertically compacted cells above each other. And there is nuclei disappear. The nucleus only disappear. And separating walls become perforated, يعني pitted, مليان ثقوب. It is called the sieve plate. The pitted here is, the pitted plate is called sieve plate. As you see here, it is pitted It's called the sieve plate أو الصفيحة الغربالية. It allows the passage of the cytoplasm through them in the form of cytoplasmic threads. In the form of cytoplasmic threads. And it contains another cell called companion cells. The companion cells contain located nearer to or adjust to beside the sieve tube, and it provides it with the required energy to perform their function. How does it provide it with energy? It contains mitochondria which can burn glucose and produce energy and give it to the sieve tube to perform its function. Now we can solve this question.
بس معلش سؤال، هو
You
في
have a
dead
question يا
tissues؟
عمر؟
بس هو في dead tissues يعني.
يعني ايه dead tissue هنا؟ احنا قلنا هنا dead tissue ليه؟ The xylem is a dead tissue. مفيش cell nucleus، مفيش cytoplasm، يبقى no life here. It's a dead tissue. Okay? It is only a tube, empty tube. Okay? Empty tube. The tracheids and the vessels are empty tube. The tracheids and the vessels are empty tubes. There is no cytoplasm and there is no nuclei. So it is a dead tissue. We call it a dead tissue. نسيج ميت. نسيج ميت. مفيش سيتوبلازم ومفيش نيوكليوس. طيب امال الفلوم ده بنسميه alive tissue. ليه بنسميه alive tissue؟ لان احنا عندنا هنا في نيوكليوس وفي سيتوبلازم موجوده فين؟ في السيف في الكومبانيون سيل. الكومبانيون سيل عندها ايه؟ نيوكليوس وسيتوبلازم، وبالتالي انا عندي كائن حي هنا، عندي alive tissue. اوكي؟ وبيبقى عندي سيتوبلازم اونلي فين؟ في حاله الايه؟ سيف تيوب. السيف تيوب انا عندي سيتوبلازم اونلي. ايوه ما فيش نيوكليوس لكن انا عندي سيتوبلازم في السيف تيوب، وعندي سيتوبلازم ونيوكليوس موجوده فين؟ في الكومبانيون سيل، وبالتالي ما اقدرش اقول على الفلوم ايه؟ It is a dead tissue. It is not a dead tissue, it is alive tissue. Okay?
شكرا.
Okay. Let's answer this question. The opposite figure represents a group of tissues in the plant. In the plant leaf. A group of tissues in the plant leaf. This is the leaf, which is there is a section made in the leaf. Okay? This tissue number one is called perpendicular cells contain chlorophyll, large amount of chlorophyll. It's called palisade. You will study it in grade, inshallah, secondary. In secondary 2. In secondary 2, you will study it. It contains large amount of chloroplast. And this one is called the spongy tissue. It contains large amount of chloroplast and also contain large air spaces. Large air spaces, okay? And it's called spongy tissue. So the question here, the tissue that is responsible for aeration, is it number 1 or number 2 or 3 or 4? Aeration. Large spaces where? In 1 or 2? Course A? In 2. Is it okay? In the spongy tissue here, there are large air spaces. Can you see here the air spaces here? The air spaces here, the air spaces here, and so on. Right. The second question, the tissue is responsible for photosynthesis. Who can tell where is the chlorophyll? You can see the chlorophyll in 1 and 2. So the photosynthesis happen in 1 and 2, the spongy tissue and the palisade tissue. We'll stop here يا شباب because the time is running out, and we inshallah I hope you solve some questions about this part. I hope you send me your answers. Okay? Thank you everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.